Hello students, today we are going to learn how to carve a permanent maxillary central incisor. The armamentarium required are a Lacron carver, wax block, muslin cloth, divider, ruler and a Macintosh sheet. Before you start carving, inspect your wax blocks for any irregularities and air bubbles, as they can cause breakage while carving and can also hamper the quality of your carving during submission. So kindly inspect the irregularities, and if any irregularities present, flatten them, smoothen them, and apart from this, kindly make sure that you label the sides accordingly in your wax block at the base portion of the wax block. Beforehand, get an idea of what you are carving. For that, draw the outlines on a paper for each step so that it will be easy to prepare accordingly what you're going to carve, and also will be easy to remember the steps. So now we are moving on to carve the mesial and distal outlines of the crown. Now take a ruler and measure the length of the crown, which is 10.5 millimeters. As you can see, I am drawing a line after measuring it from a ruler from in all the four sides. Once you have measured the crown, now go on to the incisal aspect and divide the crown exactly into two equal halves from both the mesiodistal side and labiopalatal side. These will act as reference points when you are carving both the mesiodistal side as well as the labiopalatal side. Once you are done with all the markings, those considered as reference points, now we can straight on go on to carve the mesiodistal portion of the crown. So for that, you need to take two measurements. One is 8.5, that is mesiodistal diameter of the crown at the incisal aspect, and 7 at the cervical aspect of the tooth. So once you have taken the measurements, what you're going to do is record the measurements on the wax block, that is 8.5 millimeters on the incisal aspect and 7 millimeters on the cervical aspect of the tooth. So once you have recorded, the next step is slowly reduce the wax, and in this step be careful that you are not going to poke your fingers, because I usually use sharp carvers, and if you don't have control over your carver, there are chances where you can hurt your finger. So be very careful while reducing the wax. So now you can see I have reduced the wax from both the mesial and distal aspect of the crown. After reducing the wax, you need to appreciate that along with reducing, you have also given the tapering effect, which has to be provided on the crown portion of the tooth. The tapering starts from incisal aspect to the cervical aspect of the tooth, the crown. So the tapering effect is, or the tapering is important, because that will give you the exact shape for your crown. So after gross reduction of the mesiodistal aspect of the crown, you need to keep on reducing it finely until you get the tapering from the incisal aspect to the cervical aspect of the tooth. So now you can see here, that is, the tapering is given properly, and the taper starts from the incisal aspect to the cervical aspect of the tooth. With the measurements set at 8.5 millimeters at the incisal aspect and 7 millimeters at the cervical aspect of the tooth. So after getting this shape, one more tapering has to be given. That is, starting from the labial aspect, to the palatal aspect of the crown, keeping the labial aspect at the maximum and reducing gradually to the palatal aspect of the crown. This is called as labio-palatal tapering. So both the taperings are important. So this is how it appears after finishing the mesial and distal outlines of the crown. Now we are going to have a closer view of carving the mesial and the distal sides of the crown. Be careful not to harm your fingers when you are carving. So from both the sides, remove the excess wax. Diameter to 8.5 millimeters. At the same time, this is the incisal aspect, this is the cervical aspect of the tooth. So here it should be 8.5 where the contact points are there, and below the cervical aspect it should be 7 millimeters. Next we move on to carve the labial and the palatal aspect of the crown. The outline is marked here. You can see the outline which has been marked with the maximum at the crest of curvature of the labial and the palatal aspect and minimum at the cervical aspect of the tooth. Let's start carving the labial aspect of the crown now. So for that you need to go to either of the distal aspect or the mesial aspect of the crown. So it will also be easy if you carve or draw the aspect which I'll show you. So you can just draw the outline of the crown, that is the labial aspect as well as from the palatal aspect. If you draw this outline, it will be more easy for you to carve. Draw it both on the mesial aspect as well as the distal aspect. This is just for your reference, right? So let's start carving the labial aspect. So go towards the cervical aspect of the crown, like this. Be very careful when you are carving the labial aspect. You should get the control over the carver, or if you don't get the control over the carver, there are chances where you might poke your finger or prick your finger. So you can see that I just made two things. That is, one is a ditch towards the cervical aspect of the crown, and afterwards I did one more you know slanting or sloping towards the incisal aspect. So it creates something like a mountain like appearance. Okay, after this mountain like appearance, you can just the edge of the or the crest of that, you can just carve it like this. You can just smoothen it like this. So now only you can see the shape the crown has been. Make sure you don't cross the, initially you have carved the plus mark, you don't cross the half of the crown because that belongs to the labial aspect, and you should always keep the center just slightly labially or at the center. Okay, that is the tip of the incisal edge. Keep it in the center or keep it slightly labially. Don't cross the line and go towards the lingual aspect of the crown. That becomes the characteristic feature of a mandibular central incisor. So make sure you don't make that mistake. So keep on carving until you reach this center line or just close to center. So now you can see the labial aspect of the crown has been carved, and you can also see this mesodistal diameter of the crown at the incisal aspect as well as at the cervical aspect. You can see the difference there, the convergence, the incisor-cervical convergence, also called as tapering, very nicely given. Okay, and a very important feature of the labial aspect is giving the crest of curvature. That is a very important feature. You can see this. The crest of curvature should always be placed at the cervical third aspect of the crown. Most of the students, they do a mistake where they place the crest of curvature at the middle third or at the incisal third. That is not like that. Always the crest of curvature should be placed at the cervical aspect of the crown. So this is a very important feature of the labial aspect of the crown. Now we are going to carve the lingual aspect, lingual or palatal aspect of the crown to be more appropriate. Palatal aspect of the crown, it is similar to the labial aspect. Only thing is there should be a S-like shape which is given here, and here there are the convexity as well as concavity. Convexity should be given at the again at the cingulum portion, which is limited to the cervical aspect of the crown, and the concavity should be given on the fossa where you are carving the palatal fossa. Okay, let's start the carving now. So in a similar manner, I am digging out the wax at the cervical aspect of the crown, which I did for the labial aspect. After that, what I do is I just remove this aspect of the crown. You can just slice this aspect of the crown, but be very careful again not to hurt your fingers or not to poke your fingers. Very gently just go, or you can see this has been chopped off. So I get a flat surface like this. So once you get a flat surface like this, many of you guys might be aware of an ice cream scoop. So that scoop surface, that shape of that, you need to maintain it. A very important aspect of the palatal aspect, a very important feature of the palatal aspect of the crown is the scooping of the palatal aspect, which creates a concavity and accommodates the palatal fossa. So you can see here, this is not actually flat, rather than you can see a small curvature or a concavity. So deepen that curvature. As you deepen, you can also see the nice build-up of the cingulum of the crown. Okay, so once you have deepened the fossa, and you can see this crest of curvature or the palatal aspect, which is placed at the cervical third. Now try to flatten it, and when you are flattening it, try to taper from both the mesial aspect as well as the distal aspect. So this is labiolingual tapering also being done simultaneously to give a nice shape on the palatal aspect of the crown. So now you can see the labial aspect of the crown as well as the palatal aspect of the crown, which has been nicely given a shape for the both the aspects. This is a view from the mesial aspect of the crown. You can see those convexities, that is so called as crest of curvatures, both from the labial aspect as well as the lingual aspect. Both you can appreciate the crest of curvature from the labial aspect as well as from the palatal aspect. You can see both are placed at the cervical aspect of the tooth. A very important feature. Kindly carve accordingly. This is a very important feature. So now, once you are done with that, you are going to give some final finishing for the uh, palatal aspect of the crown, and that finishing is nothing but placement of the fossa. Usually, the fossa is of inverted W-shaped fossa, where you can see it demarcates the mesial marginal ridge, distal marginal ridge, as well as the cingulum. So once you mark the W-shaped fossa, just marking isn't sufficient. So you need to slightly remove the material. For this, you can either use the backside of the carver, which is very useful for carving the fossas, or scooping out the waxes like this. Once you're done, use this muslin cloth to remove the minor irregularities of your carvers. Okay, use the muslin cloth to remove the minor irregularities, and the final step of the carving of the crown is, you know, the distal disto-incisal angle should be curved a little bit. Okay, the mesio-incisal angle should be sharp, whereas the disto-incisal angle should be curved a little bit. So just with the help of the muslin cloth, just smoothen or round off the disto-incisal angle. That is more than sufficient. You don't need, you can do this with a carver also, but if you're not comfortable with the carver, just round off the disto-incisal angle slightly, not much. Okay, so you can see here the mesio-incisal angle is sharp and the disto-incisal angle is rounded off. Okay, this completes the carving of the crown portion of the teeth. You can see the fossa carved here, palatal aspect of the tooth, the placement of the cingulum, everything is done almost. Now we can proceed with the carving of the root portion. This is how your carving will look after carving the labial and the palatal aspect of the crown. Now we shall have a closer look of the same. But be very careful, again, not to hurt your fingers or not to, you know, poke your fingers. Very gently, just go, or you can see this has been chopped off. So I get a flat surface like this. So once you get a flat surface like this, many of you guys might be aware of an ice cream scoop. So that scoop surface, that shape of that, you need to maintain it. A very important aspect of the palatal aspect, a very important feature of the palatal aspect of the crown is the scooping of the palatal aspect, which creates a concavity and accommodates the palatal fossa. So you can see here, this is not actually flat, rather than you can see a small curvature or a concavity. So deepen that curvature. Once you're done with the fossa, use the muslin cloth to polish. You can see the fossa carved here, palatal aspect of the tooth, the placement of the cingulum, everything is done almost. Now we can proceed with the carving of the root portion. The root carving is very easy because you need to carve it like, as in the shape of a cone with a blunt apex, which is a characteristic feature of a permanent maxillary central incisor. So So kindly take the measurement of the crown, which is 13 millimeters. You can also use a small scale for this. Right now, during this lockdown period, I couldn't find shops where I can open, so I'm just using this scale whatever I had. So I advise my students to take the measurements using a divider, which becomes more accurate. So once you have marked the root here, once you have marked the root, the measurement for the root, what you have to do is you just need to target the edges or the four corners of the tooth here. So slowly, okay, keep your carvers always sharp. At the same time, if you're keeping the carvers sharp, make sure that you don't cut your fingers. Okay, I always prefer my carver to be sharp so that it is easy for me to carve. So you can see that it neatly comes like this, the corners. Okay, the corners always comes neatly like this. Simple way of carving. So once you remove the four corners, the four-sided shape of the the wax, now it becomes 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 sided shape. So wherever the excess wax is there, just remove that. Remove the excess wax. You can see how smoothly it is coming if your carvers are sharp. I won't tell it is really sharp, but keep it sharp depending upon your convenience. So you can see the shape of the root. Okay, nicely assigning the shape of the root. Whatever the excess, kindly remove it off. As this is permanent maxillary central incisor, just a lingual tapering of the root should be more than sufficient with a blunt apex. As you're submitting it with the base, you don't need to worry about the blunt apex. Just make it broad, not so tapering as what you do in case of your mandibular incisors as well as maxillary lateral incisors. So just a lingual tapering should be fine. Be careful not to apply too much of pressure, or else there are chances of breaking the root. The finishing of the root, the base is also important, which can fetch you more marks during your. All this comes under the presentation when you are presenting it in your during a time of your examinations. So make sure you present it in a very neat way. So you're almost done with the root. Almost done. You can see here the root is almost done. remove any surface irregularities which is present on the root. Now, placement of the cervical line. The cervical line, when you are placing the cervical line, make sure it is a nice semicircular, the convexity facing towards the root. This is on the labial aspect. So for that, nicely mark it initially. Once you mark it, slightly carve the edges of the mesial and the distal side so that the shape, it gives a very nice beautiful shape as that of the natural central incisor. Same thing, turn towards the palatal aspect and do the same thing. Okay, a slight carving is also necessary, not just the marking of the cervical line. So once you have done that, this is the distal aspect. The distal aspect, you can see that it is like 2.5 millimeters. Take the measurement and just mark it like 2.5 millimeters. And on the mesial aspect, deepen it more because it is 3.5 millimeters. So your carving is almost done, but make sure you nicely make use of this muslin cloth appropriately. Polishing also carries some marks in your examinations, so make use of that and nicely polish it from all the surface. And this muslin cloth has the capacity to remove the surface irregularities which is created by this sharp carvers. That is one disadvantage of the sharp carvers, making your carvers really sharp. Okay, make sure that you don't hold the crown like this and polish it like this. There is tendency of the crown to break, the root to break. So always support it with your middle finger, enclose it with your fingers, the carving, and then start the polishing using of this muslin cloth. You can see it, how neatly it is getting finished and how it gives a nice smooth surface and followed by a nice shining surface. So dear students, this is how a central incisor, that is a permanent maxillary central incisor, is carved. There are two ways of carving this. This is one way where I started from the carving the mesial and the distal aspects. You can also carve starting from the labial and the lingual aspects, whichever is suitable or easy for you. But mesial and distal aspect is always better so that you get a nice grip over the surface, and you can see the nice incisal ridge which is formed here, and you can see the fossa. Okay, nice incisal ridge, fossa, cingulum. Okay, so this is it. So students, you can see the labial aspect of the crown which has neatly come. You can actually see the different areas of the labial aspect of the crown which has to be kept in mind while carving. That is the placement of the nice incisal ridge. Afterwards you can see this shiny part here, that is your crest of curvature. After that you can see a nice semicircular cervical line of the crown, and you can see the tapering also starting from labial aspect or the incisal aspect. You can see the tapering towards the cervical aspect, and from the cervical aspect, if you talk about the root, you can see the nice tapering which has been given here. Now moving on to the distal aspect. One more thing I forgot you. One more thing is, like, see the angulation on the disto-incisal angle as well as the mesio-incisal angle. The mesio-incisal angle should be kept sharp, whereas the disto-incisal angle should be kept little bit rounded off. Right? Now slightly turning on to the distal aspect of the crown. Again you can see the cingulum, okay, nicely given the S shape of the cingulum here, which I told you on the palatal aspect. And you can also appreciate the smooth curvature of the crown on the labial aspect, and you can see the crest of curvature placed on the cervical aspect of the tooth, right? This is your cervical line. You can see again the tapering is being given from this aspect also. Slightly moving on to the palatal aspect of the crown. The palatal aspect of the crown, you can see the shiny areas where the flashlight is there. You can see that is occupied by the fossa, that is the palatal fossa. So again I am coming to the tapering aspect of the crown from the incisal to the cervical, and from the cervical the root tapering till the cervical aspect of the apex of the root, okay. And you can see this is the fossa, and fossa is bordered by a cingulum, distal marginal ridge, mesial marginal ridge, and the incisal ridge. And the last aspect is the mesial aspect of the crown. You can see a nice tapering again, and you can see a nice S-shaped curvature which has been given here, and you can also see appreciate the smooth curvature of the labial aspect of the crown, and the tapering of the root is also nicely given. And last but not least, the incisal aspect of the crown. So when you hold the incisal aspect of the crown, you can see it how neatly, you can see the center line is still present, which I initially marked and told you that you should not cross the, you should keep the incisal ridge at the center or slightly labially placed, not that labially placed also. To be on the safe side, keep it at the center, right? You can see all the mark which is present here, and you can also appreciate the dome-shaped structure on the curvature of the labial aspect of the crown, as well as the palatal aspect of the crown here. So this is how you need to submit the carving, and when you are holding it, kindly hold it in anatomical position when you are showing it to your respected teachers. Thank you. I would really like to thank my colleague Dr. Bojraj Adhikari for helping me to record this video with the help of two cameras, one for the regular recording which he had set up, and one for capturing the close-up mode of each step. Thank you, Dr. Boj. For more demonstration of videos related to carving of other tooth, kindly subscribe, share and like my channel.